Hi, welcome to episode 459 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. And I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? I hope that you are doing well. Today is Monday, January 29th, and it is a delightfully warm and sunny day in the middle of Kansas. I have been moaning to you about all of our frigid temperatures, and this weekend it went back up. Yesterday it was almost 50 degrees. And I went outside for my exercise, and it was absolutely lovely. Vitamin D was just what the doctor ordered. It is supposed to be in the 50s and sunny for the rest of this week. Living in the Midwestern United States, as I do, I am just right in the Kansas City metro area. I live on the Kansas side. We do get these breaks midwinter where the temperature warms back up and it's delightfully almost springy-like. Now, we're not done with winter. I'm sure there will be plenty more, and the temperatures actually will drop a little bit this weekend and we'll get more rain. But almost all the snow has melted. It's sunny. I mean, it's not like super pretty outside because everything is dead right now. It's not green, but it was really nice. And I went out to our local park, as did so many other people. They have a 1 mile loop, and so I could exercise along the loop outside, and that was definitely worth it. And I didn't even have to. I wore something over my ears just to keep them warm. But by the time it hit 50, it really wasn't a problem at all. And so it was just lovely, and it actually did wonders for my mood because last week was gray, and cold. So it's lovely here. I'm looking forward to a nice new week. I finished some things, I started some things, and I just am feeling pretty creative and kind of enjoying things. So today I am drinking masala chai. This is from Tea Market, which is my local tea store. It's up in the Brookside area or Crestridge area of Kansas City, Missouri, which is about 45 minutes to an hour from me. And I am drinking that in my quilting mug that I got in my Advent box this year from Missouri Star, and it is just lovely, and I love this masala chai. I am a big chai person. I really like the spices. It's warm and cozy, and I love them all fall and winter. So that's delicious and strong. It will perk me right up for the rest of my day. It's right around my lunch hour, so I thought I would come and talk to you a little bit. So I have some finished things to show you this week. Some almost finished things and some brand new things. So let's start there. This isn't exactly a finish, but they're little bits and pieces. I have been talking to you about the chicken that I am making for myself. I work for the City Girl Farm, and they produce chicken footstools, and you are watching me make the pieces for mine, and eventually I will bring the chicken home. This week I didn't make as many as I wanted to, but I did make 2 more, and I got into some really great colors. Actually, I love the colors on the back of this too. It's oranges and purples and russets and really just pretty colors. And then I got into one that had some greens in it as well. So I only made 2. I was hoping to make 3, but it just didn't happen. But I made 2 more, and that brings me up to, at this point, I want to say I'm up close to 15, which is probably almost halfway. So not super impressive, but I am slowly, bit by bit, working my way there. These need to be blocked. They are not blocked yet, but I did knit them and put them together. So I will wash these right after the podcast and add them to my pile and then start and try and make a few more this week. So the next thing that I have is a combination of a finished and almost finished object. So I had talked about how I was getting back into imaginary internet points and how I wanted to join Eat Sleep Knits first quarter challenge, which was to make something gnome related. And so I chose the Anne of Green Gables hat by Sarah Shira, which is an adult or human-sized version of one of the hats on her mini gnomes that are made out of fingering weight yarn. And I decided to make it fully pointy and everything. It's cabled, it's glorious. I used, I don't know if I have the, see if I have the tag here. I do. I used 2 skeins, or about a skein and a bit. I actually only just had to break into the second skein of Yarn Love, and it was Amy March DK in the colorway Conifer, and that's 100% superwash merino wool, 280 yards to 113 grams. I misordered at the front end and thought I could do it in only one, and I could have if I were doing the beanie, just not the actual pointy gnome hat. So let me show you this. Is that not amazing? So this is the color. It's this great foresty green, and it's got all of these wonderful cables that have kind of moss stitch inside of the cables, and it just works up to the top where it ends at sort of a point. And I will put it on and show you. It's absolutely freaking adorable. It's kind of big on me, but it is so, so cute. I haven't washed and blocked it yet. To be honest, I didn't because I was afraid it would grow. And right now it fits me quite well. It's not super snug. It is a little bit loose, but it is so, so cute. So, I was posting about this last week on my Instagram and about how I was going to turn myself into a gnome. And, a friend of mine who also happens to be one of the moderators for the Eat Sleep Knit group on Ravelry, and she's very involved with them, she left me a little note that said, hey, so the prompt is something that features a gnome or is a gnome. And I thought, well, cripes, that's not quite right. So I decided, I was like, well, I'm going to finish the hat because I was already working on the hat. And I decided that what I would do is I would add a little bit of a gnome to my project, and that would make it work. So this is my little gnome. He's not finished yet. This is the partially finished portion of the project. He needs arms and a beard and a nose. And so he is also by Sarah Shira. And I believe it's No Fun Gnome Fun. I'll put the link in the show notes, and she has all her patterns on her website and also on PayHip, so I will put the links in there so you can see them. This is one of her just adorable little gnomes. I did make this in worsted weight. Actually, both of these yarns are from Eat Sleep Knit. This was the Malabrigo Rios in Cereza that I used to knit my nephew's sweater last year, and this is the Malabrigo Rios in denim that I used to knit my most recent blanket, and I will talk about that in a second because I released that last week. So now I have a little gnome to go with my gnome hat, and I'm going to finish him off and then take pictures and then submit both, and hopefully I will get credit for both. But that is the gnome hat finished, and I really like it. It's super fun and cute, and of course I won't need it this week because it's 50 degrees, but I can't know that I won't need it for the rest of the time, for the rest of the winter. And then I also have about 100 grams left over, and I believe the skeins are 113 grams. Let me see. Yeah, 113 grams, and I have about 100 grams left over, which means I still have well over 200 yards left over. And one of my friends suggested last night maybe I make myself some matching mittens. Apparently this is the year of the mittening. So I had thought that I was going to maybe make this into mittens to donate, but I haven't decided, and I thought about the fact that I could probably find some cabled mittens or put this cabled pattern on just kind of a plain mitten pattern and make it match. And I'll have to actually look because she might have had Anne of Green Cable's mitts. I'll have to look. Anyway, so mittens might be forthcoming. I don't know how soon, but this yarn was luscious to work with, and I really absolutely love this hat. And my little gnome will be done before long, probably this evening, because I worked on finishing this one last evening so I could show you. And I'll probably finish this one this evening and take photos this week. They'll be on my Instagram. So that was kind of a fun project finished. Let's talk about what else I am working on. So I have been working on lots and lots and lots of mittens. And so I do have a pair of mittens in progress. And I had said that I hadn't decided if these were going to be for me or not. And I still haven't decided. But I am knitting the Snowberry Mitts by Kalura Hudson. And unfortunately, this is not a pattern that's available off of Ravelry. I had hoped that it was, but it is not. not. It is a pattern for kind of a one-size-fits-all mitten with these, it's snowberries, so it's supposed to be berries on twigs, and the twig itself is kind of a 1x1 cable, and then the berries are baubles, but they are crochet baubles, which has actually been really interesting and easy and kind of fun. And I'm not normally a bauble person, but I just love the way these look. So I am knitting in, I have lots of Malabrigo Rios in this house because I tend to use it very often. This is Malabrigo Rios in a Reflecting Pool. I did double check the colorway name last week. This was what I used to knit my niece Roxy's sweater this past year, and I had a whole skein of it left over because I always buy extra. And then I had some mohair. This is Apothecary Luxury Fibers. This is her Halo Lace, which is Surrey alpaca and silk, and it is in the colorway Deep Teal. And these held together produced a really, really lovely, so this is a worsted weight, and this is kind of a lace weight / fingering weight, and so together they produce a little bit almost of a bulky weight, and the mitten is really, really gorgeous. Now, the only problem with this mitten is that it's just a smidge big on me, which I kind of knew might happen because of the fact that it's sort of a one-size-fits-all, and which means probably a women's medium, and I have women's small hands. So, and obviously I haven't put the thumb on it yet, but this is, well, I guess it's not that big. I guess it's fine. I have a little bit up here, but otherwise, I guess it's okay. So these are the mittens on me, and I had kind of anticipated keeping them for myself, but I'm not sure I need 2 pairs of mittens, and if I make green mittens, I don't know. So this is the first mitten, and it needs a thumb, and then I need to cast on for the second mitten. I haven't done that yet. That is the plan this week. But so that is kind of my work in progress, and these are really, really soft and cozy. So at first, when I thought this was a little bit big, I thought, oh, I could put a lining in there, and I was like, but that would make these so freaking warm because they already are super warm. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do. Stay tuned. And I don't know whether I'm gonna keep them or send them out into the world. I guess we'll have to find out. So that's sort of where I'm at with my mitten, but I am sort of almost half done without the thumb. And like I said, I need to get back to it and get another one cast on this week. So that is where I'm at in my mitten making, and I found some more scraps, and I think I'm going to do kind of a stripey mitten next. I'm really excited. I almost cast on for the stripey mitten last night because I was just feeling excited about it, and because it's warm this week, I wasn't thinking, oh my god, I need a new pair of mittens now. But then I stopped and said, you should finish this pair of mittens. So I guess that's what I'm going to try and work on this week, particularly while I'm at my computer. So the other thing that I did is I kind of started another project. So I had talked to you about how I wanted to do kind of a finish it, frog it, fix it, finish it, frog it February. And I had a sweater that I had knit quite a few years ago that was in Juniper Moon Bud, and it was in this pink colorway called Primrose. And I had knit the sweater, and I had done a photo shoot. I knit it as a test sample for a friend, and it never really actually fit the way I wanted. I probably knit a size too big for me, or it was just that the oversized style, it was kind of a big oversized v-neck boyfriend sweater, and for whatever reason, I never really wanted to wear it. The neck hole was too big for me. It kind of fell off my shoulders, and what was super cute on my friend who wrote the pattern didn't feel super cute on me. It just felt like ill-fitting clothing. So for a while I wrestled with it and thought about ripping the whole thing out and making it for myself again. Unfortunately, I would have had to rip the whole thing out because it is in the round from the bottom up, and then you create the v-neck, and if I really wanted to actually make it a size smaller, I would have had to, and then the shoulders, the sleeves were knit and seamed on, and then you put a band around. I mean, it literally had to be completely pulled out to start over. So this weekend I sat down and I pulled it all out. And it took me quite a while on the first evening to remember how I had sewn everything up and how everything was attached. It turns out I never even wove in the ends. I guess I already knew that that sweater just wasn't going to be a thing for me. Or I guess I wove in the ends, but I never actually clipped the ends, so I could still see where they were. I could still pull things out. But the yarn is nubbly, and it didn't rip easily, and it took me several hours to rip it out. And when I finished the cable hat last night, right before I met my friends for knit night, I thought I can start something new. And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and start that sweater. It's not quite February yet, but I ripped it, and now I would like to re-knit it into something that I will use. So I have all of my cakes of ripped Juniper Moon Bud. I decided not to wash these and reskein them. The yarn had been, I believe, washed and blocked already, but it's also like a nubbly yarn. A lot of what you're seeing is the tiny little up and downs are actually because it's a yarn that is plied with thread. You can kind of maybe see that as let's see if I can. Yeah, it is a thicker yarn plied with thread to make it a bulky, and so that is actually natural to it. It already looked a little like ramen, so I did not wash it and reskein it and whatever. And I went ahead and started. So the pattern that I have selected is the Ramona cardigan by Elizabeth Smith. And it is a very simple cardigan. It is just kind of a top-down raglan shaping. It's got some nice kind of edging trim, and it's meant to be, she wears it over a dress, and so I'm thinking of mine, even though it's a bulky weight cardigan, it's a bulky weight cotton cardigan because this yarn is almost entirely cotton, might be 100% cotton. And so I am thinking about it as a kind of a spring or fall cardigan as the seasons change, as it gets a little cooler, over either with jeans and a t-shirt or over a dress or a skirt or something like that. And it's kind of tiny and it's more fitted and it's a little bit cropped, but I'm hoping that that will suit me better. So I cast on last night and I started just the little bit of the raglan. I don't have very much done, maybe an inch and a half. I did the first little set of the raglan. Now I have kind of the serious raglan shaping. This was just kind of getting things established up at the top. There is a really cute kind of garter stitch detail in here where you have the purl bump every other round. But otherwise, the sweater doesn't have a ton of texture, and that was kind of what I was looking for because the nubbly yarn kind of gives it a little bit of a texture and it obscures a lot of work. I mean, like, the purl bump is not super noticeable there. You can see it as I pointed out to you, but I'm not sure you'd really notice it as a detail if I were wearing the sweater like all the way back here because of the fact that it's kind of a nubbly yarn and it's a little, it's got a few bumps and lumps and bumps anyway. So I started this, and this is one of the projects I'll be working on in the evenings, kind of out on the couch, and my hope is that I will finish this by the end of February. It is a bulky weight cardigan. My size calls for, I think, 850 or 900 yards, so I have that. Well, okay, I don't have that. I only have 700 yards, but I went ahead and ordered an extra 2 skeins yesterday just to be sure that I have enough. This is kind of a, I don't want to be insulting. This is kind of a flat color. It's not like kettle dyed. There isn't a lot of variation. And so I'm hoping that because it's kind of a stock one color, that the new skeins will match it. If they don't, I'll have to decide if I'm going to work it in or if I'm going to modify the pattern. But I went ahead and ordered it sort of to finish the project. And I will say the funny thing that my husband said to me last night is, so I said to him, I ordered another skein or 2 of yarn so that I'm sure that I have enough. And he said, I'm sorry, the sweater that you're ripping is too big and too oversized, and now you're going to make a smaller sweater, but you need more yarn, which made me laugh. And yes, I think because it's full sleeves, the other one was 3/4 sleeves, and it's got a lot of like thick ribbing trim, and I think it's knit at a ever so slightly smaller gauge. Anyway, so I'm working on this, and that's going to be one of my February projects. It's not precisely a frogget or fit. I mean, it's not like all the projects on my needles or a project that's quite near completion, but I frogged it. I'm going to finish it, and it's going to be fixed into a sweater that I would like to wear. So I think it meets the spirit of what I think of fix it, frog it, finish it to be. So let me just take a quick sip of tea. I will talk to you for a minute or 2 about spinning. I will mention my new pattern, and then we will go ahead and wrap up for the day. So the last week or 2, I have been spinning on a really luscious dark braid from Into the World. It was gray Corriedale, which means it was kind of natural colored Corriedale, and they had used the grays in there, so it wasn't light, it was dark. And then it was done in, the colorway was called Rhinebeck, and it was done in burgundy and orange and yellow and kind of purple tones, very fall-ish. And this is how the yarn came out. It came out very dark. But I really think it's pretty. You do have the pops of orange and yellow in there. They're just offset by the burgundy and then also the darker sort of blackberry tones. And it's really pretty. My guess is it is about 300 yards. Might be a little more, might be a little bit less. Probably of a sport to DK weight. It would make lovely socks, and I am really going to get off my bum and put this in the shop. I'm going to take photos later today, and it will be up by the time this podcast airs tonight, along with trinkets, which I finished a couple weeks ago and never got into the shop. I don't know why I didn't, but I just didn't. I'm going to take photos today, get labels because there's sunshine and it's beautiful, and then get these up in the shop for you if you are interested in them. This is not superwash, but it is what I think is a great blend for sturdy socks, and if they felt just a little bit as you wear them, better, all the better to wear them with. So like I said, lots of little pops of color. It would also make a great winter set, mittens and hat, or whatever you're kind of looking for. I think it's going to be really, really pretty. And this is washed and skeined, but I just haven't done all the measurements on it yet. I should have done that before I came back. So I'm going to finish that up today and get that up in the shop, which means it was time to pick another spin. I actually finished that on Wednesday. I finished plying that on Wednesday and washed it and thwacked it and let it dry. And so I picked another spin last night when I sat down for knit night. And this time I went with more springy colors. This is called Peck on the Cheek. It is Hello Yarn, and I believe it was a shop update fiber as opposed to a club colorway. And it's more springy. It's got yellows and greens. It does have some darker blues, but it's just very springy and also a little pastel. It's got some purple and some pink, and it's just a really, really pretty colorway. Lots of, like I said, very springy, almost Eastery colors, along with a little bit of navy, which I think is kind of a fun complement to it. And this is the second half. The first half is already on the wheel. So my hope is maybe by the time I see you next weekend, this one will be done. We'll just have to see how far I get this week. Or by the time I see you next Monday, this one will be done. But again, this is Peck on the Cheek, and it is a Rambouillet, or Rambouillet, however you want to pronounce it. And that is a really, really fluffy yarn. I suspect that it's going to be really poofy and really soft. It is not superwash, but it would be good for baby things, and it might be good for brighter spring accessories. So I'm excited about that one, and we'll be working on that this week. So the last thing I have to tell you, and I'm not like super prepared for it, is that I went ahead and released my baby blanket pattern last week. You saw me knit that for quite a few weeks. It was a chevron pattern. It looks a little bit like this. This is the sample swatch that I put together when I was working on the pattern. It is a chevron pattern done just in knits and purls. There is patterning on the right and wrong side, but it is pretty intuitive once you kind of figure out what you're doing with it. The pattern instructions are both written and charted, and it's kind of subtle. You can see it on an angle. You can't see it as well head on, and that blanket was in the colorway denim. And I made that, or I think it's blue jeans, and it looks like denim. And I made that blanket as a gift for, the reason that I can't show it to you is because I made that blanket as a gift for a friend of ours who had a little baby over Christmas, and I sent that off to them as soon as I was done taking pictures. So I do think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to knit up another little sample size in what I have left, so that I can have a little something to show you and a little something to photograph if I want to take any future pictures. The pattern is available both on Ravelry and in my Etsy shop, and if you are interested in it, it is there for you. The finished blanket ended up being right around 33 inches square, and it took about 4.5 skeins of Malabrigo Rios, which is 210 yards per skein, so it took right around I want to say like 950 yards, and then I just had like a little bit left over. I stopped. I probably could have gotten one more repeat, but I stopped a little early because I wanted to make sure that I could get the size blanket that I wanted, not using every last yard of the yarn. I wanted there to be a little wiggle room just in case people's gauge is a little bit different. Honestly, I don't think it matters that much because if you're short a repeat, I don't think it's going to change the dimensions that much. You're still going to end up with around a 32-inch square blanket-ish. You know, maybe 30 by 30 or 33 by 31, or, you know, but it's going to be roughly square. Anyway, so the instructions in the pattern are exactly how I knit it. The pattern was tech edited. I did not have it test knit, but I did have it tech edited, and she caught a couple things because I am a tech editor, but I'm not really much of a pattern writer. And we fixed those up and got it set to go. So that is available if you are interested. So I kind of flew right through this, but I hope that you are having a good week and that, or you just came off of a lovely weekend. I hope you've had some good time for crafting. The sunshine is making me hopeful and happy, and I want to cast on about 12 more things, and I'm just really trying to restrain myself so I can work through things. I would love to cast on a pair of socks. Also, once February actually rolls around, like for real, which is Thursday, I'm going to start on that blanket that I would like to start on for my niece and her husband, and work on that sort of towards the end of the year. So I have lots of projects in play, lots of things that I'd like to knit and do and craft, and I did sew this weekend. I put together my quilt top. So next weekend's plan is to try and attach the free motion foot and play around on some samples and see if I can teach myself how to free motion quilt a little bit so that I could go ahead and finish up that Halloween quilt. And the new things for me will be quilting and then also binding. So, like I've done it through the top phase before. The top went together relatively easy. I even got kind of my corner points to line up fairly well, because it's 16 blocks. So I got the blocks to line up fairly well. Now I just have to figure out how to actually quilt on my machine. And so I bought 2 feet for it. I bought a walking foot in case I just want to do some straight line quilting. And then I bought a free motion foot in case I want a free motion. I think I want a free motion. And then the only other thing I have to figure out is how to lower the feed dogs. Those are the ridges along the top of the sewing machine that help guide the fabric at a steady pace. You want to lower those when you're quilting so you can move your quilt back and forth easily. And I thought I had it figured out. I watched a video, there was a button, and I went and looked, and my machine doesn't have that button. So I have some things to learn about my machine and some practice to be doing, and next week I will bring back sort of the results of my practice, and I'll bring the top to show you, and then hopefully the weekend or two after that I will be able to actually quilt the quilt and finish kind of the first in my series. I have a big blank spot on the wall right next to me, kind of above and to the side of my computer, and what I would really like to do is make some small wall quilts. That's what this one's going to be. It's going to be about 36 by 36, and I would like to make some, I guess that's not really tiny, but it's not huge, and I would like to make some wall quilts so that I can kind of rotate them in and out through the seasons, and I found the perfect hanger for it. It's just a bar with some screws, and you can kind of screw the quilt in. Sounds great. I'm very excited about it, and so I am kind of on a mission to work on some of that too. Too many projects, not enough time, have to keep going to work to pay for the projects. I think that's my that might be the episode title. So I hope that you are doing well. I hope you're finding creativity and interest in all of your crafting. And I will say, as I always do until I see you again, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.